Hey, my name's Conor Donald over at Connor10 on Twitter, and you're watching the Dynasty Hotseat.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome back once again to another episode of the Dynasty Hotseat. And today, bit of a landmark for the show. We got two Connors on the show. You got one sitting right here. You got another guy all the way at the other side of the ocean. Although he's got two ends, I've only got one, so we'll let that slide though. We got Conor Donald joining us today. Find him over at Connor10 on Twitter. He's doing loads of stuff for the True North fantasy football guys, and you do a load of other stuff as well online, Connor. So we'll let you just introduce yourself a little bit more and tell people what you got going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. This will be a complete blast, something completely different than what I'm used to every week. So a nice change of pace. But yeah, you hit it on the head there. My name's Connor. You can find me on Twitter at Connor10, and I do work with the True North Fantasy Football Network. I'm a podcaster there, ranker there. You can find my writing over at Roto Underworld over there at Player Profiler, where I'm a junior analyst. And also I do a lot of Philadelphia Eagles content as well, with the Painted Lines and my podcast, The Kelly Green Hour, which you can find on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. So check that out if you're a Birds fan. And then of course me and Jim, I think you had Jim on a couple weeks ago, Gymnastic. He is, we co-host the Gold Jacket podcast, part of the True North Fantasy Football Network. So yeah, I do a little bit of everything, I'd say.
Yeah, you're a busy man. Yeah, lots of stuff to do. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased you managed to take some time out your schedule to come join me on the hot seat. And I know you'll have loads and loads of great hints and tips for people listening at home. So we'll get right into section number one, which is the art of war. And it's just kind of your hints and tips for dynasty players listening here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought because it's kind of like a slower time of the off season, I kind of took the approach of looking more at trades this go around, because there's a lot of people who are probably thinking about trades, dealing with trades. And me and Jim were on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about values, just specific player values, and trying to decipher, what you should do, how to make a good trade, the art of the trade. So we were just picking random trades that were happening in our leagues, and we were looking at them and kind of giving advice and looking at the values. So my first piece of advice, and I know because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people within the community with a bit of an ego sometimes, and they don't like to look for other people's help. They don't like to reach out because they like to think they know everything. But that's my biggest piece of advice, is don't be afraid to get the outside opinions on trade offers you have doubts about. Fantasy football, to me, it's as much about winning money and taking people's money as it is finding and being part of a community. And I think that's one of the big things through Twitter. I mean, we're in a retweet group, and that's how we all met. That's how me and you came together and got this opportunity. But it's important to get outside opinions sometimes, because we all have our favoritism. We all have our leans towards one direction or the other based on specific players, or based on a specific team or a position. And sometimes it helps. And I know I have a couple group chats that I go to always talk out a trade, because even if I think it's a smash, sometimes maybe there's something that I missed that somebody else wants to tell me, or that somebody else saw. So it's always good to get that second, even a third opinion, to make sure that the trade is what you think it is, or the trade is what you feel it is.
Yeah, I really like that advice. It's just like, don't assume you're like the number one expert. I mean, I've been doing that loads. I've recently just joined up, a new league, and it's really like IGP heavy, and I'm no expert when it comes to IDP. So I've been reaching out to loads of different people, asking what their opinions are, on that in particular, because, I know I'm not an expert on it, and I'm not going to pretend to be. So yeah, use this amazing community and like all of the people in it, because everyone has been so generous with their time and so generous with their, opinions, that it would be a real shame for you not to use that great community that's there.
Absolutely. Second piece of advice, don't fixate on my guys. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people say, and it's something that a lot of people give as advice, because there are some people who will share their screen where it shows how invested they are in specific players in specific leagues, that tool. And you see guys who are invested 90, 80, 90, 100% on one player. And you see the tweets about that player, and they're talking up this player, and they got this insane value on this player. It's such a closed-minded approach that can also cause individuals to close off trade business because you're too high on a guy, or you're not willing to negotiate, or you're not willing to hear other opinions on the guys. Not everybody is going to be right. And as much as when I scour Twitter, there's this belief that there's going to be 48 top 24 wide receivers at the end of the year. There's only top 24 wide receivers, and that doesn't change. Same as the running back position, same as top 12 tight ends. As much as punt the tight end, and people would have you believe there's 24 top 12 tight ends, there are a ton of guys who have the potential to get there. And we know that. We love to talk about them because it's the easiest position to just punt away and draft in round 12, 13, 14 and get a value. But it doesn't always happen that way. So don't fixate on the my guys. I think that's a big one. And you never want to create this reluctance within your league to trade with you because of how you value specific players. And that, to me, that's a big thing, because I see so many people. This is a time of year where people love the my guys. They see, Paris Campbell, he's getting hype in camp. He could be the wide receiver 1, likely the wide receiver 2 to Michael Pittman, obviously. But what's the floor like for him? What's the ceiling like? Could there be another freak injury? There's so many different things that you have to take into account, that you can't just fixate on the my guy and have people in your league not want to do business, and you have this insane value on a guy that you're going to end up stuck with. So that would be my second piece of advice.
Yeah, I really like that as well. You gotta, like sometimes people ask me, I'll get like messages like sometimes in different leagues, and they'll be like, hey, like, who's for sale? Or like, is this person for sale? I'm like, everyone's for sale. Like every person, you can buy anyone from me. Like if you give me the right price, absolutely. There's no one that's off limits. You can't have players off limits. You can't like close people off, even if they are your guy. Like you got to be able to sell if the right offer comes along.
Yeah, you definitely have to kind of know the value of your guy as well, which some people, I think they know the value and then they times it by a certain amount, it feels like. So you don't ever want to do that. And that would probably be my third and my final piece of advice. I'll keep it short and sweet, is don't be afraid to change values. Don't fixate on a value of like, I don't know, Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson would be bad examples, but like some people might be like they're 4 times firsts or value or whatever. You could be it could be a 3 times first value. And don't fixate on the rookie draft, because a lot of people love the rookie draft. They're like, oh, that first round pick, I got to get that first round pick, or I got to get 2 firsts plus I'll take a player, or 3 firsts plus I'll take a player. Some players within the league have a value or have even more value than a first round pick at the end of the day. And for me, there's too many people who sit there and would rather, especially in this draft class that's coming up, so many people love the value. They think there's so much value there. And granted, yes, at the running back position, there's probably going to be a lot of great guys come out of this class, and I'm not going to deny that. At the wide receiver position, it could be similar to this year. And this year, we're all arguing, we're fighting over 5 or 6 wide receivers. And the reality of the situation is, for the first 3 years in the league, we're probably looking at only a couple guys out of this draft class being top 24 wide receivers. And it's just a reality that people don't fully realize and don't fully grasp yet. So always be willing to kind of change your value and have different values. I always try to think of things with a 3-year mindset. Think about the 3-year value on a guy. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? What's the situation look like where they are? Like you look at like Mike Evans, you look at Keenan Allen, you look at some of these guys who are 29 going on 30 and look at the 3-year window with them and the opportunities that exist for them. A guy like Chris Godwin jumps off the page to me. He's had so much. He's had some bad luck with a couple of injuries, but the direction is trending so well for him in Tampa Bay, especially if now that he's under a new contract and stuff. That there's things to look at. You look at the contracts, you look at the situations, you look at who's going to be free agents, the landscape of is the team going to be good or is the team going to be bad? Are they going to be buyers? Are they going to be sellers? There's so much to think about.
Much.
But you have to take it all into account, or at least attempt to take it all into account so that you can build the right team so that you can win more than one time. You don't just want to win your league one time. You want to win the league multiple times and win it for multiple years and control it for multiple years. Because you always talk about running backs too. That's a big one. The cliff, the age 27, that's the cliff that look out for it. The running back dead zone and stuff. There's also values in some of those guys as well. You just have to be very careful about who you're looking at. Like when I look at Cam Akers, I hate the value that he is right now. It's dropping a bit. It's getting better. But that's a guy like we never saw Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers together, what that tandem is going to look like. So no one can say with any type of certainty of A, what the situation is going to look like, and B, how much better Cam Akers is going to be, because obviously the reports are he's 100% or he's at 100% or even better than before he tore his Achilles. But if you talk to people who know the medical stuff, always make sure you have a good medical follow.
Yeah.
Because we had Edwin Porras on the show a couple weeks ago, and we talked about Cam Akers. You can sit there and watch videos and think that things look a lot better, but we can't deny the fact that a game situation is so much more different. Look at what happened with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott ran the ball like 100 less times this past year coming off that fractured ankle because there's a reluctance to run the ball. There's a reluctance to really run right into a pack. You want to look for a way around it and stuff. So in a long-winded way, you have to look at a lot of circumstances. You don't have to have a 3-year window like me. You can think of a 1-year window. You can think of whatever type of window you want, but be willing to adjust your values. And that's a good way to figure out how to adjust your values. Because this year, Mike Evans might be worth this. Next year, he's worth that. And in year 3, he's probably worth a significant portion less because he's going to be 32, 33 years old. So those are the types of things you have to think of. That's why I like the window, because I want my max value early. But I understand if I don't get my max value in a certain window, it might go down after that. So you have to be open to that.
Yeah, I think, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, and sometimes you just have to be okay with, I'm just going to ride this player out. Like, I'm going to get like them in my team for this because I'm going to need them to win in this window that I've got. And, I could sell them now for like 2 firsts, and next year they're probably only going to be worth a first. But actually, I'd rather a championship rather than an extra first. So I'm going to keep this guy.
Especially the running back position. To me, that's a position where, like, there were guys buying Todd Gurley, and that was it. Like, you bought that Todd Gurley that year for a championship, and that was it. David Johnson, same thing. There's certain guys that you buy for a championship, and sometimes they're not going to give that to you. Like, I know in one league, and this was a bad call on me, I bought Mike Davis with the opportunity in Atlanta, and it failed. I sold a 2nd-round pick for the guy. I didn't think it was bad. I was like, the opportunity's there. Whatever, he's going to be my 3rd RB. He's going to be a flex play. He was horrible. I don't think I ever played him. I think I tried him the first 3 weeks because I wanted to see, maybe it's a slow ramp up. Maybe he'll get there. It just never came to fruition. But some guys you end up getting stuck with. Not everybody's going to constantly have a value, but you need to know the correct values and the right time to sell, or the pieces that you need. It's also about knowing your roster and what you need. There's so many pieces of advice I could give when talking about trades and when dealing with trades. But those 3 are 3 really big ones to me. Being able to shift value, being able to negotiate. Because I know there's some people I talk to, it's a firm stance on specific players or a firm stance on a value. And you lose a willingness of people to come to you to try and make a trade when you stand firm and you're like, I want 3 firsts. I don't want players. I don't want this. I'm rebuilding. And you sit there and you're like, but 3 firsts for me, I only have 1 every year. I'm out of first for the next 3 seasons for this one player. No, but I would be willing to give you 2 firsts in this player or a player of this type of value. If there's no willingness to it, then you're never going to get the right deals done. It's all trading is an art, and it's about knowing the values, the ability to shift values and change values and adapt to the market.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And it's great advice, especially, you're right, for this time of year when people are trading left, right, and center. Most rookie drafts are sort of wrapped up. So people are trying to build their roster now, going into next season. So Conor, I love that as 3 hints and tips. And now we're going to get into, the real meat of the show. We're going to get into the hottest section of the hot seat. It's the hot seat mock draft. So let's pull up our sleeper stream here for you. And you can see that we got our 12 teams. It's 18 rounds. It's super flex. And Conor, the first thing we want to ask you is, in absolutely ideal scenario, a dream world, if you were able to choose what position you would start in a startup draft with 12 teams, what position would you pick and why would you pick it?
And this is super flex, correct?
Correct, yes.
So when I'm looking at it, like, to me, I got to go QB. You tend to want to go QB early, but you have to know where that fall off is from the top. And then the next QB, like you see it, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, those are all really good. Those are the ones you want.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's a lot of people who would want to go running back early because you got to get that top guy. You got to get that Jonathan Taylor or whatever. And then there's some people who will go the wide receiver route. It all depends on where I land, where I'm drafting. But to me, those first 3 picks to me are pretty much auto QB. Should be auto QB, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Really, Allen and Mahomes could be interchangeable. I have Josh Allen as my QB1. I would stick by that. Patrick Mahomes definitely 2, and Justin Herbert. I don't know if I even have Justin Herbert as my 3. I really don't think I have Herbert as my QB3. I don't think I'd go there. I'd probably hope to wait and get like Lamar Jackson. I prefer Lamar Jackson, that rushing upside, his improvement in the passing game. So it really depends on where you're going. If you're going in the top 5, I can see any justification to go quarterback and stick quarterback because you're going to get a real game-changing quarterback in that position and you don't have to worry about it. Now towards the back end where you're going 8 through 12, that's where franchise-altering wide receiver comes into play. One of the high-end running backs, one of the bell cow running backs, one of those guys like Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. A lot of people debate it because of his running style and stuff, but you can't deny the bell cow back. You look for the bell cow back. That's what you want. You probably want to shop more or buy more for the opportunity because bell cow backs are becoming less and less.
Yeah, true. So with all that said, you got to lock in a choice now, Conor. It's tricky. It's tough. But where are you going to go?
For first 101, Josh Allen.
Nice. Let's get the 101 locked in, and then you're guaranteed to get, your quarterback number 1, your number 1 overall dynasty player, Josh Allen. So let me hit start on the draft, and we'll get Josh Allen locked in our team. And it doesn't get any better than that in terms of foundational blocks. This is another time, Patrick Mahomes slipped all the way down to 5 here. That is frightening, right?
That's crazy. And the Kyle Pitts, where Kyle Pitts is going, that's wild too. 111. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be there. And me and Jim talked about him a lot. Maybe we'll buy him down the road, but right at this point, if you got him in your rookie draft, good for you getting him in your rookie draft. But the startup, if I'm in a startup, I would find it so hard to pull the trigger on Kyle Pitts. And I know that there's a lot there. Like there's some stats that look really good. There's some opportunity to be really juicy. Yeah. But look at the value that there's going to be. Like Mark Andrews went as a tight end too. Look at the value that exists now for a guy like George Kittle, a guy like Travis Kelce, or just a full-on punt the tight end position. But Mahomes
Yeah,
at 105 is wild.
Yeah, it's I can't make too much sense of him going there. But yeah, it's happened a few times on this show. He's going a bit later and later, which is crazy to me. And we're back on the board now. We got 2 picks in a row, back end of the 12th and the start of the 3rd. Is anyone standing out to you here, or is there a certain way you like to build your teams? Like, are you thinking, right, I need to get my quarterbacks definitely, and then I'll work the rest out? Or are you just like, I'll just see who the best one is, and I'll take guys from there?
I don't necessarily have a specific build, because then I feel like you're stuck, especially in a startup, then I feel like you're stuck in a way of doing things, and then you really miss out on certain opportunities. Breece Hall stands out to me as way too high. Like, I can't believe that he's probably going, I won't take him, but he's probably going to end up going 3-2, 3-3, 3-4. Like, he's probably going to be going in that ballpark, and I really don't like that spot, especially with next year. Me and Jim on the Gold Jacket podcast talked about it all the time, about Breece Hall was hyped up because of the type of class that he got put into. Next year, we're looking at, like, I look at the mock draft database. There's 8 top 100 running backs. This past year, there was 4. So what does that mean for Breece Hall next year? You have this guy going as what? He's going to be 2-4. He's going to be the 7th running back off the board, most likely. And he's sharing the load with Michael Carter. He's probably going to get bumped down 3 or 4 rungs next year when that class comes in, and the opportunities that they get, because it's a huge year for the running back position. Lots of free agents, lots of great running backs coming up in the draft. It's going to be such a different looking landscape. He jumps off as a don't touch. Same with Trey Lance. I'm not 100% sold on him yet. Here, I would go, I'm probably going to go with Joe Mixon. I like Joe Mixon a lot. He's at, the opportunities there, like, to take him and be like, you look at like Javonte Williams and where he's going, like, with Melvin Gordon still in the picture, I can't believe he's going at that 112-2-1 term with the hope and expectation that with the bell cows that go after him, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, you can call him a bell cow or not, he's likely going to end up being, if not a bell cow, he's going to foot a significant bit of the load. Plus, he's going to have the PPR upside because he's going to catch a decent amount of passes. And then Austin Eckler, you can tell by the way they drafted Isaiah Spiller that there's likely a trend to kind of peel back some of the carries from Austin Eckler, but he has a PPR upside. So again, I'm there for that. So I'm going Joe Mixon on this one. Get myself that bell cow back, at least for the money says that, it's there for at least probably 2 years. Like this year and next, the money speaks that he should be there. So take advantage of that. And next up.
So what do you think? I just know, obviously, you're an Eagles fan. What do you think? I see AJ Brown sitting right at the top there. What do you think about AJ Brown as, an Eagles fan? Are you excited about him coming in, or what is your thought?
I'm ecstatic about him, and I'll say it like this: I feel like the bigger beneficiary of all this is probably going to be Devonta Smith, because one of the biggest things, if you look at Devonta Smith, he had one of the best separation numbers out there. He was a pure separator. He's a true X. His average depth of target was great. His unrealized air yards was very high, because he's got people climbing on him, clawing at him, and the field wasn't open. There was nobody opening up the field for Devonta Smith. So I think that people are probably going to end up sleeping on Devonta Smith more for the sake of getting AJ Brown. And I will say this, I do hockey, I do baseball, and I do football fantasy, and I do my best to avoid my own team. For some reason, I just don't like the idea of having them, because I feel like I then end up having these sky-high expectations for them, and I struggle to live with them and live with the potential and so often the disappointment that comes with it. AJ Brown, my thing is, what is Jalen Hurts going to be like? Who is Jalen Hurts going to be? That's the thing that I struggle with the most. Can he sustain 2 top 24 wide receivers? How many targets is AJ Brown going to get? What's the wide receiver market share going to look like? Because you got Dallas Goddard there. You got a super reliable pass catching back in Kenneth Gainwell. I'm not discounting, like, you paid AJ Brown. So logic would dictate that AJ Brown should probably get some touches, should really get some touches. but I wouldn't go A.J. Brown here. I don't think that I'm prepared to go A.J. Brown. I look at Devonte Adams and I look at Stephon Diggs, and those scream to me because that's wide receiver one, and you've no doubts in your mind that one of those two guys is going to be your wide receiver one. And based on, I like Derek Carr. Jim, if he's watching this show, will laugh because he doesn't like Derek Carr that much, and I always talk about Derek Carr. And now, if you had him and you kept him hanging around, like, you're gonna get your dividends paid over the next few years. I'm going Devonte Adams here.
Nice.
I like Stephon Diggs, and I think you could go either way. I think they're both going to finish like really close, really side by side at the end of each year. I just like Devonte Adams and knowing that the premium, like Stephon Diggs has had 2 back-to-back 160 target seasons. I think Devonte Adams can land in that similar ballpark and be extremely efficient as well with Derek Carr and within that offense, because there's nobody really, no other alpha taking anything from him. No offense to Hunter Renfrow, but he's not an alpha like Devonte Adams. So I got Devonte Adams on this one.
Nice. Yeah, let's look on Devonte Adams, who I think is just going to continue to dominate like he always has. He's going to continue to be like sucking up all those touchdowns as well over at Vegas. You know, there's not much, competition over there in terms of throwing in that red zone as well. I think he'll automatically become that number one red zone target, him along with, Darren Waller, if he can, pick himself up from last year. I think Adams is going to have another huge season again. And we're right back on the board again. And we got our back-to-back picks once more, as Aaron Rodgers is still on the board at the back end of the 4th. He's sitting up at the top along with a couple of running backs and Gibson and Dobbins. And anyone else standing out to you?
Aaron Rodgers, to me, I just can't trust year to year what's going to happen with the guy. Yeah, he's got a juicy contract, but that doesn't mean anything to this guy. Like, he could walk away from this next year and pay whatever. If there's a penalty, he'll say, here's your $25 million back. I'm going to walk away like I want to on my own time. Gibson, I don't like. I haven't been able to get in on Gibson. J.K. Dobbins, there's some concerning things with the fact that it really doesn't sound like for the first 3 to 6 weeks, like he's going to get what you need for him to live up to being a really your number 1 or your number 2 running back. I love DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I am a massive fan of, a huge fan, and it just sucks that he can't get a damn quarterback.
I know.
That is what burns me, is that this guy just can't get a quarterback that can help him get it right, because he's doing a lot. Like, he's got, I can't remember for certain, but I think it's 2 or 3 straight 1,100-yard seasons without a quarterback who can throw him the ball. Imagine you have a guy who can throw him the ball. That's that 1,500-yard wide receiver right there. I'm going to go here with Deontay Johnson. I really like Deontay Johnson. He's a target hog. He inhales targets. Chase Claypool says he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. He can get out of town. They're just like Tyreek was saying that Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, or better. Whatever the wording was there, both of them get out of town. Deontay Johnson's the guy there. That's another guy who's just going to inhale targets. He's a hog rate monster. That's a stat that I love to look at, is hog rate. That is targets per route run. And this guy basically gets targeted on 20% of his routes run. So 1 in 5 times that guy's running a route, which he's always going to be running a route, he's getting that ball. And I don't think that changes with the quarterback situation. I think Deontay Johnson, if Trubisky or Pickett can't throw the ball deep, Deontay Johnson's there. If they can't throw the ball deep, Deontay Johnson's still there. He does a lot of work in any part of the field, whereas I feel like Chase Claypool and George Pickens are more of the X receiver on the outside, 50-50 ball. You got to beat your guy outside and get the deep ball type player. So Deontay Johnson for me here.
Yep. And then you got to pick right after as well. You tempted to go double up and take DJ Moore as well, or your guy Derek Carr is sitting there too, who you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Hit the QB button for a minute. I want to see what I'm going to look at if I opt to pass.
Yeah, so you still got Tua, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and a couple of your older guys like Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins still there, as well as Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, Jameis Winston.
Yeah, so I'll pass on QB. I think I'll wait another go around. You can see based on like the early going, it hashes out the way you think with those first 2 rounds, and you see like 10 quarterbacks almost going. But then you see round 3, only 2. Round 4, only 2 quarterbacks. You see it's starting to shift there. That's why if you really want to pull the trigger on a quarterback and you're going inside those first, you now can see if you're going inside those first 12 picks, nobody's going to fault you for going with the quarterback in any of those situations because they go like this. You see it go. I really don't like Gibson and Dobbins there. Like, I really don't want to full-on punt their running back position, but I'm comfortable with Joe Mixon that I think that I could wait another go-around on the running back position and start filling in with some of those. But let's hit the running back button just because when you're drafting from the 1 position or the 12th position, that gap's there that you're probably going to have to reach on a guy that you might like because of the gap that's there. Some of these guys aren't going to make it.
So you're seeing guys like David Montgomery up here, Aaron Jones up here, Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette, Zeke Elliott as well, still there.
I'm going to go with Aaron Jones here. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a big year. I think he can be like, I understand A.J. Dillon's there. People love A.J. Dillon, but I don't think it's too hard for me not to think of Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and that connection. That's the oldest connection pretty much on that team that's left. I'm going to go Aaron Jones because I think him and Joe Mixon together can be a lock for 1 year at a minimum, elite, maybe even 2 years. They could be locks in your backfield as your RB1 and your RB2, especially when you're looking PPR upside, volume. I like both of them there. So,
yeah, I really like Aaron Jones for this year as well. And a thing we've talked about on the show before is how difficult it is sometimes to get Aaron Rodgers' trust, and that's a very different looking receiving room at the minute with the new guys coming in. And I think Jones certainly has Rodgers' trust, so he's going to be getting a lot of targets, especially towards the start of the season in particular.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we did see a lot of running backs go off the board there. Wow, look at that. So great decision getting Aaron Jones while you could, because he would have not been there on the turn coming back. So you got to be pleased about how that fell.
Yeah, no, there definitely wouldn't have been any of those running back. None of them would end up coming back to me. All of them going there. Tua surprises me. I understand the circumstance. Tua surprises me. The Mac Jones value's there. My co-host Jim loves Mac Jones. So he would love seeing that position of Mac Jones there. Let's see. What do we got here?
We got Zach Wilson at the top. Tom Brady, the other quarterback, who's sneaking down there at the very bottom. And then Devonta Smith, you talked about earlier, could benefit a lot from your new big signing, AJ Brown. And Keenan Allen there is always good. Hollywood Brown, primed for a career year, you'd think, as well. There's still so much talent on the board.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is a juicy one because Keenan Allen and Mike Evans are just your typical underdog type mentality because they're constantly... Every year, so many analysts talk about them being undervalued, and every year it feels like we're talking about it again. And Mike Evans got the luck of the draw this year, like Gronk retiring, the Chris Godwin injury, and Godwin probably not back till sometime in early November. Like so many chips fell Mike Evans' way that his biggest threat is Russell Gage and Leonard Fournette and Cameron Brate at this point. Like, there's a wide open opportunity to go for 120, 130, 140 targets for Mike Evans this year. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go Keenan Allen. I'll buy into that. I'll buy into Keenan Allen all day, every day, because he's just that value. He's going to get the targets, great opportunity.
And Justin Herbert's going nowhere. It's so important with these wide receivers. It seems to just have that solid quarterback that is going to be able to get them the ball. Like, if you look at, all of the players there, with the exception of maybe, DJ Moore there, like,
everyone of these wide receivers has got, at least a solid quarterback that can get them the ball.
Definitely. And press that QB button again. We'll take a look.
Yeah, let's have a look.
There's something I can do.
So you got Wilson, Brady, Kirk Cousins, Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, Jameis Winston, and just peeking at the bottom, Davis Mills.
Yeah, who else? What's below Davis Mills?
Let's have a look-see and see. You got Matt Ryan, you got Malik Willis, Desmond Ritter, Carson Wentz.
Some of the rookies,
yeah, I guess a bit. Yeah,
it starts to get dicey.
Yeah.
I guess in this circumstance, it would really depend on how you really want to build for like a dynasty team and what you plan to do. But I'm going to go Zach Wilson. I like Zach Wilson. I think that the New York Jets have set him up for success. I think a duo of Zach Wilson and Josh Allen is really good at the quarterback position, especially if Zach Wilson can start to live up to that upside. Plus, he's got the athleticism, a bit of mobility to him. There's just too much there that people are saying, oh, I don't know about him. And I'm just like, nothing changed from what we saw. What you saw and what you wanted from Zach Wilson is exactly what he brought to the field last year. But his team was terrible. I think he was top 3 in like wide receiver drops or drops in general. He played to a really negative game script. Injuries were Edwards, Elijah Moore was hurt for a little bit. Corey Davis was hurt for a little bit. Michael Carter was hurt for a little bit. No tight end to speak of, so no injury there, just nothing in the first place. It was like they targeted the position 77 times, the tight end position last year, and it was the lowest by a landslide. Wow. Complete avoidance of the position. And I think that there's the Breece Hall coming in. If Mekhi Becton, whether or not he's a part of the team or not, the offensive line is better than it was last season. You're going to
have to have been, right?
It had to be. Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to start to see a trend for Zach Wilson of, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? In round 7 here, with how young he is, with what they invested in him, with the positions around him, the players around him, plus the fact that they got that 5th-year option on him. This is only year 2. They're probably going to let the leash out quite long with him. And I think you can see him run for at least up to that year 4 mark, and where they have to make the decision on that 5th-year option. So lock in Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I'm big fan of Zach Wilson, especially going into this year. Someone I targeted a lot last year. And now hopefully a lot of those shares will come good coming into this year. Because you gotta so many people will be like, oh, I love Garrett Wilson. Oh, I love Elijah Moore. Oh, I love Breece Hall. It's like, hey, you gotta like Zach Wilson at least a bit, right? If you love all those guys, you gotta like the guy throwing them the ball as well.
Well, that's one of the things that that I've talked about on my show is the whole thing is like Tua, 2 top 24 wide receivers, but he's going as a QB 17. To me, it's like you can't love the targets but not the quarterback and have a high expectation for the guys. Unless you're planning with a 3-year window that Tua's going to be gone. They're going to bring in this gunslinger and Tyreek, and Tyreek is going to get the chance to feast, and Jalen Waddle's going to feast. Okay. But then you're going off of a gut feeling of what you think might happen in a circumstance where there's no clarity to that. So
my answer for that kind of thing is, the 2 will be gone, and they'll bring in some guy they'll have like CJ Stroud or something next year. It's like, you don't know that. Like, nobody knows that. So stop kind of like saying that you know more than you do. You've no idea. Tua could come out and have a great season. Tua could fall out of bed one night and break his leg, and he'll be out for a year and he'll be back next year. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think that much is too much.
The outlook on that too is, look at the draft position. They traded their firsts for Tyreek Hill. There's no CJ Stroud. There's no Bryce Young. There's no Will Levis. There's not one of the top dog QBs that's going to them, because then they traded their first away, and what are they going to do? Are they going to trade one of their high-value players instead to try and get back up and get a quarterback? You got to look at free agency, and you have to say, maybe they'll go for a free agent. Look at the free agent quarterbacks. Look at how the QB market went this past year. It went like wildfire because the QB class wasn't that good. Next year, there's probably going to be an overcompensation in the draft because the QB class was so bad. So some teams are going to dig in. Some teams are probably going to maybe Tampa Bay, maybe Minnesota are going to start to look for their future guy. Green Bay, even if Jordan Love ends up getting moved, you might have some of those ones with older quarterbacks starting to look at a new quarterback as well and going into that draft class. So is this so you need to look ahead. That's why you have to look ahead with teams. And to me, Tua looks like the guy for the next couple of years. I think he's going to have the leash to be there, especially with a new coach. I don't know if this coach is going to be in any rush. They've kind of built it in a way that they kind of want to start going for it now. And when you change a quarterback position around, it kind of puts you back a little bit, unless you're getting a true free agent stud. So,
yeah, I think Tua should be just fine as long as he keeps himself healthy and plays to, even if he played just the same as he did last year, he wasn't that bad. I don't think last year. So I think if he continued that with the better weapons, they'll just make him shine a bit more, and he'll just continue to get a little better. Yeah, so I like Tua.
Agreed. Nice. You can see the fall off of RBs there. You just a sprinkle of them after that run. And then the tight ends started to get hit pretty good there. Schultz, Goddard, Knox, Freiermuth.
Yeah, a lot of time we don't have a tight end locked up. Is there any point where you're like, oh, I need to get this position? You're just like, nah, I'm not seeing any tight ends. I don't want to reach too much.
Well, click the tight end spot, for me, and let's see what's there. Like Mike Gesicki, we just talked about that position. That's an avoid. Cole Kmet, the targets could be there, but what direction Chicago going? Zach Ertz, I think I can wait. Like you look at where we're drafting, some of these tight ends should fall. I like Noah Fant. I still like Noah Fant. I still think he's someone you can go to. Trey McBride, someone I think you can go to despite Zach Ertz being there. There was nothing keeping Arizona to Zach Ertz, I think, after year one. I think there's enough that they can get away from him if they want before year two. Alberto, Irv Smith, I'm a guy who will true punt the tight end position unless I've gotten something to fall to me. Like, I might have considered Pat Freiermuth. Like, if Pat Freiermuth was there, I might have considered him. Dawson Knox, I don't like him that high-end touchdown need to me. And then OJ Howard coming in. OJ Howard, whether he came in with the purpose, I know a lot of people say, well, he came in with the purpose of being a blocker. That's time. That's potential routes, and that's potential time on the field taken away from Dawson Knox. And if you look at his target share, it was already light. Like, he had a really low target share and like a 22% touchdown rate. I just don't see that happening. So, the tight end position, I think we're going to go full punt on this and go another, we'll go around this turn and not worry about it.
So, we've got now sitting there, we got Kenny Pickett at the top. You got one of Kansas City's new shiny weapons, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then, some running backs still there, Damian Harris, the Eagles' own Miles Sanders as well, although I imagine more than most. Miles Sanders has his health concerns, and I don't know what his contract situation is at the Eagles. You up to date on that?
Currently, they're going to let him play out the fourth and final year of his rookie contract, and at this point, you never really like to hear that, but I think that's with the focus of, okay, let's not pay him now. If he starts to get doing better, then one of the things how he's most notorious for is once the season starts and look at Dallas Goddard. He got Dallas Goddard at a bargain compared to what some of these tight ends started getting paid. When you think about it, once the season gets rolling, they had committed to moving Zach Ertz. Ertz hadn't been moved yet, but then he locked in Goddard under the contract, traded Zach Ertz. Dallas Goddard started to get more targets and emerge. Got him at a deal when you look at the David Njoku deal and stuff. So, here I'm going to get a bit younger at the wide receiver position. I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. I really like Brandon Ayuk. You look at the tape, he's a really good route runner. We talk about him in one of my group chats all the time because this guy was in love with Brandon Ayuk. And he said, you have to go in. His name's Ty at Dynastradamus on Twitter. He told me you have to go and check him out, check his routes, because I was talking about Devonta Smith and he's a separate. Look at him. He's a route runner. And when I went in, there is a video on YouTube that shows all of his routes run in their playoff run last season. He put against the Cowboys and Trayvon Diggs. He put Trayvon Diggs on skates, made him look a fool on multiple occasions. I would highly recommend checking out that video and getting some Brandon Ayuk shares. But I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel doesn't scare me. The fact he hasn't rescinded his trade request, the circumstances are still dicey there. I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is going to be as hyped up as everybody says, there's got to be somebody catching a football, and it's not going to be just George Kittle. And even if Debo's around, it's not just going to be Debo and George Kittle doing it. Brandon Ayuk's going to get his share too. So we went a little older at wide receiver, up at the top. We'll get a little bit younger here with Brandon Ayuk. Hit that running back button. Let me just double check the running back circumstance here.
Yeah, let's have a look. And the cliff is really coming at running back, right? If we've not already got there, like Damian Harris, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard there, Damian Pierce, Kareem Hunt, Rashad White. And then if we look a bit further, Isaiah Spiller, Michael Carter, Devin Singletary as well.
Yeah, like I think I've embraced the not zero RB strategy, but a strategy that relies on Mixon and Jones better stay healthy, because they'll be my locked-in two guys, and now I'm looking for like a young guy who might have an opportunity coming up eventually, but I'm not going to take it now because to me it doesn't make sense to take it now. Damian Harris is in a mess. Miles Sanders is in a mess. Tony Pollard, I'm not as bought in as everybody else is. Zeke's got so much money tied up in him. There's no rush for them to push to Tony Pollard. So we'll go back to the all, and I am going to I can't believe Sky Moore went before Juju personally, but I'm going to scroll. Give me a quick scroll down a little just so I can see what I'm looking at.
Yeah. So Hunter Renfrow now coming up with Allen Robinson, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, who's still rehabbing his ankle. What is that about?
Yeah, there's something more to that story that I don't necessarily believe that we're going to get the answer to. And he restructures contract after vehemently being like, I'm not staying here. I don't want to be here. It's dicey. It is very dicey. Wouldn't touch that. His ADP, like where he's sandwiched as a rank / ADP is crazy to me, because there's guys in front of him who I'd take rounds before him. There's guys after him who I'd take rounds before him as well. So it's crazy that his ADP is where it's at. Scroll a little further. I just want to check.
Brandon Cooks is there, who obviously is always very reliable. Tannehill, Pierce, Mike Gesicki, Kareem Hunt, Jahan Dotson, who's been looking amazing apparently in his camps, but it's always hard. You have to take everything with a pinch of salt, I always think, with these new rookies coming in.
I love Jahan Dotson too. That's the thing. Like, I love Jahan Dotson. The film is wonderful. The concern that I had was his ability against man, like press coverage when he's getting bullied a bit there. What's he going to be able to do? But I mean, the Terry McLaurin situation behind them, there's pretty much nothing. I'm going to go scroll up a little bit. I'm going to go with, keep going. We are going to go, I think I'm going to go with, oh boy, this is tough.
This is always my favorite part of the show. People who do the same thing as me.
Once it gets to this point, it's tough. I'm gonna go with Juju, and I'm gonna go with Juju because he's on a prove it deal. He hasn't really necessarily proven it beyond once he didn't have Antonio Brown around. But like, remember, Juju's like 25 years old. He's still really young. He's still finding his way. Once he finds his way, once he commits, and he's gonna be in an offense. And maybe this could be KC too. Like the 1 year prove it deal, and then midseason they're like, let's do it, let's sign him. Like, there's so much opportunity still there. Like, this is a concern to me. 887 yards and 6 TDs is a very conservative number for me for a projection. So Juju for me, I'll double tap the wide receiver position there and keep it young, because Ayuk's like 22, Juju's 25.
Yeah, exactly. And
I was considering Allen Robinson, Jahan Dotson. I was heavily considering as well. So,
what kind of average age? That Rams team must be the oldest team. I don't know. Maybe like Tom Brady cheats a bit and like pulls everyone's ears up at Tampa Bay, right? But that Rams team is old, right?
You have to assume at this point that it's got to be the average age must be pushing over 30, which is old for an NFL team. But who knows?
Hey, it's working, right? It's working for them.
Maybe let's not
that's
complain.
The future. Yeah, exactly. And we're quickly back on again in round number 10. A couple of quarterbacks still sitting there: Tannehill, Winston, Davis Mills, Matt Ryan, still sitting up there as the quarterback market dries up a little bit. And Kadarius Toney and Cole Kmet, some tight ends sneaking about.
The good thing is I'm not a guy who sits there on the quarterback market and says I need to get 3 or 4 guys, because people think like when you get all these guys, I watched a guy go Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence last season, and he had Patrick Mahomes. And he put them all on the block. He tried to get a trade done. Nobody's doing business. He's asking an enormous price, and nobody's actually going to fall for it because they're like, well, then you're just wasting a guy sitting on the bench. He thinks the mentality should be, oh, you guys should want to pay up. No, I think he pigeonholed himself in a way that he's stuck with guys when he could have went a different direction. So you don't always want to be that guy who puts yourself in that situation, because not everyone's just going to line up with their hands out saying, can I have a quarterback, please? And that's not necessarily how that approach works. So I'm confident with the 2 quarterbacks that I took, that I think I can wait a little bit longer and see if some more of these guys fall. But immediately here, seeing the run on running backs again, I'm going with Michael Carter at this pick for me. It might be a bit of to me, Michael Carter's a value. We talked about it on our AFC East preview episode, which was this past week on the Gold Jacket podcast. Michael Carter is the value there, not Breece Hall. Michael Carter still has a PPR upside. We saw it throughout last season, and he can still take some touches away. There's still enough work there. Like, you can almost think of it as like a Zeke Pollard type situation. I think that Carter could be used in a similar mold to Pollard, although I think Pollard's got a little bit more burst and explosion to his game. So I get that. But if I'm getting Michael Carter here at the 10th pick, and he's going to be like my 3rd rotational flex running back, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and Michael Carter as well, someone who's shown even like just when he was in college a few years ago that he is able to work really well in that kind of like shared system, like where he did so well with he was with Devonte Williams, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's definitely able to work within that committee system, and has proven he's able to do it already. So why not again, right?
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. And then let's hit the. I think I can wait on tight end a little bit longer. Wide receiver. Want to hit the wide receiver button just so I can see what we're looking at on the top end here.
Yeah, so you got
pretty dicey in the wide receiver room too.
Yeah, I was just checking to see if Jahan Dotson went. He did.
He did. 9-7 there.
So Kadarius Toney, couple of weird things popping up about Toney as well.
Yeah, I like what he can do, but I'm stuck. Like the situation's a little dicey for me, but he would be like more of a flex play. He's got a huge opportunity in New York with the Giants. And a new offense. I think I'll take that shot. Like here at 11, I don't want to go tight end. The wide receivers I think if I'm going to sit there and I'm staring down Kadarius Toney and like a David Bell, Alec Pierce, John Mechie, like I feel like I'd probably rather like Kadarius Toney and John Mechie are the 2 who jump off the most to me in this circumstance. So I'm going to go Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I was about to say Calvin Ridley was peeking down at the bottom there as well. He's always
and I think I'll wait because you're going to be 2 years without playing football and like going on I think he'll be age 28 when he's able to come back, and it's just so dicey. And at this point, these are guys who are going to be on your bench. They're likely future holds, flex plays, injury fill-ins. So to me, a guy like Kadarius Toney, if he can get things right, and everything goes well, and the sounds have kind of quieted down, the noise around him, perhaps there's a really good opportunity there in a creative offensive system. We saw Cole Beasley. We've seen Emmanuel Sanders. We saw like with Stephon Diggs as the main guy. I think Kadarius Toney can work in a Brian Daboll offense like that. So running through another run of tight ends.
We got him locked in. Yeah, exactly. A few tight ends and a couple of those, quarterbacks coming off the board. And wow, a lot of tight ends coming off the board there with Irv Smith and Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, Albert O as well coming off. And
we embraced the full punt of tight end on this.
Yes, exactly. Which is, tight ends deep though as well. There's a lot of good tight ends that'll still, be there, right? Like, Hunter Henry.
It's about finding an opportunity to me. And that's why
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it right here, and I'm gonna go with David Njoku. The man just got paid. Like, you can't deny that significant portion of money going to a tight end. I can see him having a bigger workload than Irv Smith, than Alberto, because Alberto, they just went and they grabbed a catching specialist tight end in Greg Dulcich in the 4th round of the draft. And then you got Trey McBride and Zach Ertz, who are side by side, same team, lots of opportunity because Hopkins is out. But then what happens when Hopkins comes in and he starts taking back his 6 to 8 targets a game? How long is Zach Ertz going to be there blocking Trey McBride? Stuff like that. Cole Kmet, like I said, it's dicey in Chicago. Noah Fant, I really like Noah Fant. I would have liked to have seen him fall, but where he was positioned, I knew he wouldn't. So I'm going David Njoku. You don't pay a guy that much money and all he's going to do is block, or he's going to have a very minimalized role. To me, that just makes sense. He's young. He's athletic. He can be a receiving tight end for me. Harrison Bryant's there. One concern there would be Harrison Bryant and his red zone share. We'll see what happens there. But things and the quarterback situation is definitely dicey in Cleveland as well. But we'll take the shot for the big contract.
And Njoku, really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. Next season, he's kind of that one of those players that has been like, every now and again, you'd see a flash of something, you'd be like, wow, like he is amazing. So it's just that consistency for him now, really.
It's just like OJ Howard for me. Just like he flashes. I hate where OJ Howard ended up, but the high-powered offense and stuff, maybe we'll see. But now we can move on back to the all section and see what's there. We're staring down quite a quarterback conundrum, I think. Lots. Everybody's saying no you, trying to wait and let somebody else take the risk.
So what generally happens on Sleeper here is some of these guys will go, and for whatever reason we get to hear the second you make this pick here in round 17, they'll all go, and it's like a Sleeper algorithm thing. So some of these guys will stick around until round 17 for sure.
I can see that. I can see that. So I'm not going to rush to get another quarterback at this point. Like, I would wait on a Davis Mills. I would wait on a Matt Ryan. Daniel Jones. We've heard the humming and the hawing and what might happen there. Like, you can better wait on some of these guys and see what happens if they end up landing to us at the 15-16 turn maybe. But the 14-15 turn.
I'll hit flex to get rid of the quarterback to show you some other guys.
Get them out of the mix there.
Ronald Jones up there. Robert Woods. I always think Robert Woods is another guy for me, like almost like Keenan Allen light, like sort of like always undervalued, right?
It's just a pass. Like, is this a year they become more of a passing offense to take some of the wear off of Derrick Henry or not? Alan Lazard, I love the opportunity that could be there. And we all know, like, everybody wants Christian Watson to be that guy, that dude, the number one in the offense. But I don't think that we can necessarily just accept that he's just going to jump into 125, 130 target role and actually do really well in it. But I think like this is another point where you got to take your shots on guys who young with high upside or like an opportunity. And for me, I'm going to go with Alan Lazard. He's not as old as Robert Woods, but he's got similar, if not a better opportunity than Robert Woods. So Alan Lazard for me there.
Let's get Lazard locked up. And, kind of what we talked about earlier as well. It does take some time to get the trust of Aaron Rodgers, and Lazard's been there for years, and I don't even know if he's got Rodgers' full trust yet. Like, I mean, it does take a long time. So hopefully, being one of the more senior members of that receiving room now, he'll get a fair share of targets from his quarterback.
Absolutely, and coming around, lots of running backs going again. I kind of probably should have considered that.
With Gainwell and Hines, all these PPR kind of guys coming off the board, and some of these new rookies. Are you wanting to take a look at running back to see who's there?
Let's see. Let's take a look at running back because we've loaded up the wide receiver room pretty well.
So you got Hassan Haskins at Tennessee, Marlon Mack, potential starter at Houston. Kyron Williams, Gus Edwards.
It got bad. Like now you probably would be looking at you hope that no injuries really tear apart my running back core. And then next year in the draft, I can probably look to kind of get in one or two of those guys and keep building it. Or I can take some of these wide receivers in season who get this massive opportunity boost, like maybe an Alan Lazard, maybe a Kadarius Toney that somebody else might want. This is when you start talking more of a strategy of potentially moving somebody instead. To get it, like to get a Gainwell, because I'd like a Gainwell or a Hines or something like that. You can maybe look at how they've positioned their team and make a decision based on, like, maybe you could use a wide receiver, or maybe you could use a higher end running back or something along those lines. So we'll avoid running back for this moment, and we'll go to the quarterback position, because I think this is where I will pull the trigger on Matt Ryan. I like Matt Ryan. I feel he's the better of them. I understand that things in Indy are a little weird, but I mean, at this point, I think I've kind of committed to kind of like a team that is kind of in it to win it now based on the position. And if Zach Wilson, things don't start the way you want, or things are a little bit dicey, you can lean on Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan's got the job. There's no issues there. He's got a bit of I would argue it's a better team this year. Definitely a better offensive line. Maybe the weaponry not fully better, but the weaponry's got to be almost consistent with what was there last year, because the ghost of Cordero Patterson emerged to be the real story last year there. So we'll lock in Matt Ryan. We'll grab that third quarterback. And worst case scenario, somebody could run into some quarterback issues and you could trade. Like Matt Ryan could have some value in that regard.
I think Matt Ryan is going to love it over there. Like even just the threat of having Jonathan Taylor could potentially run the ball as well. Teams are going to be really, really, really watching out for Jonathan Taylor first and Matt Ryan second, which is never, hasn't been the case for Matt Ryan for a long time. So he's going to have time, and like you give a guy like Matt Ryan a bit of time, and he's going to pick you apart. So I think he's going to love his time in Indy.
Definitely. Go back to the running back position for a minute.
Let's have a look. You got MVS up there. You got Khalil Shakir.
No, running back, not wide receiver. I don't want to wide
running back yet.
We're going back to the graveyard.
Yeah. So we're back here.
Scroll down a smidge. I just want to see.
Let's see. J.D. McKissick, the PPR guy you talked about earlier as well, and Trey Sermon could have Raheem Mostert, part of that Miami back team, and
go to wide receiver. I'm going to wait. I think some of those guys will actually land there because I took a QB. So now that I took a QB, I feel like the algorithm will kick in that there's going to be probably 4 QBs go, 5 QBs in this string. So that opens up some of those RBs to move down to me at the 16, 17 turn. Wide receiver. MVS, I don't think I want to take that shot because I took the shot on Juju. I don't know how much I want that KC stack that way.
Yeah.
DPJ is a nice look. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, to me right here, I'm sitting at Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones. The thing with Donovan Peoples-Jones is the situation with the quarterback. Like, he's a guy who needs a guy who can sling the ball. He can get downfield. You got to get him the ball or put it out in front of him. And for 1 year, that might be cause for concern. But I mean, really, there's not a whole lot behind Amari Cooper either. And I did take David Njoku. But that doesn't mean anything when you're looking at the tight end position to me. I'm going to go with Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm going to get a younger wide receiver who's set up to potentially be the 2 or the 3, depending on David Bell and stuff. So let's go Donovan Peoples-Jones at that spot.
Yeah, he sort of has, shown, little bits and pieces so far in the league. And, there's a couple of people, who I quite like, and like they just say, oh, yeah, Peoples-Jones, he's a good player. Look out for Peoples-Jones. And yeah, it will very much depend on, wow, look at these running backs. Very much depend
that did
on.
It.
Oh, wow.
That didn't go anywhere near how I anticipated. I thought the Matt Ryan pick would draw some guys in to take a QB, but because I was thinking of a guy like J.D. McKissick or Raheem Mostert, for opportunity's sake. Let's hit RB just to see what's there. Probably avoid it, but we'll check it out anyways.
Snoop Conner, a guy who we both must quite like, right?
Give me Daryl Williams. This is a guy that I am 100% open to considering, because look at what he did with KC last year when he was given the opportunity.
Yeah.
James Conner's never a shoo-in to be healthy. Yeah, he got the contract, so you can say the contract's on his side. The contract's on his side 100%. But there is the argument that can be made about the injury history, and he can't foot much more load than what he had last year, I don't think. So it depends. Do they want to lean on Keontae Ingram, or do they want to go with Daryl Williams? I think Daryl Williams will be the one who can be more effective and work better in that offense than Keontae Ingram right off the bat. So hit me with Daryl Williams.
Daryl Williams, definitely. Like I'm a Chiefs fan, and you know I've seen enough of Daryl Williams last season to know Daryl Williams is a damn good player. Like
he's an efficient running back when you allow him to be.
Absolutely, and I think you're right about James Conner. James Conner, up until last year, he went down every year at some stage. He wasn't that reliable, and you know Williams is. I know Conner got a bit of pass catching last year, but Williams is a better pass catcher as well, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, he's not something for the future very much, but
no.
That's okay. I don't really see Dearness Johnson intrigues me because earlier I was looking at Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson. There's rumors like one of them could be traded, and then suddenly that opens up the door to maybe they're going somewhere for more of an opportunity. But I don't know because I don't see a whole lot of running back needy teams, so that leaves me stuck. Let's go to the wide receivers, or even tight end. Let's go to tight end. We'll try and maybe stack a second tight end.
And Gronk up at the top. I imagine if we did scroll down though, K. Dotton is there obviously as well. And I'm looking for Cameron Brate is kind of sneakily down there as well.
Yeah, see, there's a lot in this circumstance like that I think will end up just being straight up a free agent that you could go and grab on the waivers, which is what I would generally do. Like I would probably keep rolling this out, and like if we were bigger than 18 rounds, I'd probably be looking at 21, 22, 23, 24 doing this because Hayden Hurst, Austin Hooper are two guys I love a lot. Brevin Jordan, like those are three guys who are like your locked and loaded tight end one in these offenses. But I think for this circumstance, I am going to actually go with Brevin Jordan. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the younger move at the tight end position. The guy, like I said, I'd wait on Hurst or Hooper, and they might even be guys I consider taking at the end. Just for the sake of having the three tight ends and the ones with the upside for more work. Because at this point, you're not getting a wide receiver with the upside for that much more work than a team's tight end one in a lesser passing offense. Like Austin Hooper, Hayden Hurst, Logan Thomas, if you can outweigh the injury a bit, Gerald Everett, like these are all guys who immediately are your tight end ones on the team. The biggest question mark becomes how many targets do they get? How many yards do they get? But every single year we see in that top 12 tight ends, we see in the top 8 tight ends, 2 brand new guys who you don't even predict. Nobody has them in their rankings. Suddenly, boom, plop in at like randomly tight end 4 and tight end 7. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys I've named, including like Brevin Jordan, who I'm taking, end up as that guy again, who gets into that moment and pushes somebody else out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always a Logan Thomas. There's always a Dalton Schultz every single year. So let's hope Brevin Jordan is that this year for our team. And this is where all these quarterbacks are probably going to disappear. Yep, there they go. All the time it happens. Round number 17.
I should have trusted you. I should have believed that this is it. Honestly, I took Matt Ryan. I probably could have looked at Mariota, probably could have looked at Trubisky. Like there were some intriguing quarterbacks there. But yeah, I probably should have went at the Matt Ryan pick. I probably should have it was the Matt Ryan pick. Took a running back, but that's okay because we got 2 stud running backs who are going to foot the load well for us at the top. Absolutely. And we'll look to that position, or we'll look to trade. Better yet, worst case scenario, we got Donovan Peoples-Jones. You take DPJ and maybe a third next year or something, or a second if you're desperate and you go for a Kenneth Gainwell or a Darrell Henderson. Yeah. Or maybe I don't even like Darrell Henderson and a Gainwell. I don't know if I do a third or a second, but DPJ and like potentially a third, a fourth, like maybe even just DPJ alone could get the job done. or Alan Lazard, like someone who just sees the opportunity, or in the early going of the season, Gainwell isn't doing what they want, Henderson isn't doing what they want, or JD McKissick would probably be really cheap too. Those are the types of moves you would definitely be thinking about. Don't think that you put yourself in a situation at running back. There's ways to get out of the situations. That's why I wouldn't stress it for me in this circumstance, because I took some guys purely for opportunity at the end, and that's when people start to knock on your doors, when they see the opportunity coming to fruition. Because I like the Gerald Everett picked before me too. That one would have been one I might have considered at the end, because that's a high octane offense as well. This last pick.
Yeah, the final pick, and we've got, some guys up here, this, it's interesting spot, isn't it? Round number 18. So you got Romeo Doubs up there, could be a thing, could be a guy that you just forget about. Could be this year's, who was the guy last year at the Chiefs? Powell, was it? Where everybody was taking Powell because he went to the Chiefs because he was just there. Maybe Romeo Doubs is just going to be that guy this year.
Yeah, hit the RB button quickly. I'm just going to see what's at the top of each. Yeah, I don't know if I really have a ton of interest. The only one would be Dearness Johnson, and that would be with the prayer that a move be made, not get stuck with the RB3. Check out wide receiver quickly.
Let's see.
Might just be another tight end opportunity.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer, like Terrace Marshall. There's stuff being said there. Scroll back up a bit. Just a smidge. I think Jamison Crowder will be great for opportunity too. But I think I'd rather go with in a younger direction. So scroll back up a smidge there.
That's us back up at the top.
I'm going to do Terrace Marshall. I like Terrace Marshall in this spot. I understand there was things coming out of school where the effort and stuff, but it kind of looked like some beat stuff is trending. Like, this is where you kind of take the beat reporter stuff and you say, well, what the hell? We're going with the 18th pick. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe become something. If he doesn't become something, look at what's going to end up entering the waiver wire at the end of this. There's so much that you could get after this through the waiver wire. So to me, it's take your shot on like some beat reports that you like at 17 and 18. 17, it just so happened I went with the tight end that I like his opportunity. I really like the tight end. I like the chemistry that was building with Davis Mills. And this one, I'm going to the spot where I like DJ Moore a lot up top. I talked about DJ Moore. Quarterback situation sucks, but as we know, that's going to likely create a negative game script, which creates opportunity. And then the rumor or the tweet / Instagram post by Robbie Anderson that he might have been contemplating retirement and stuff.
Wow, yeah.
Just opens the window that this seems like a good opportunity to grab Terrace Marshall. Wide receiver 2 upside, maybe 3 at the worst case scenario, but Robbie Anderson doesn't sound like he'll be sticking around a whole lot longer, so it could be more of a future outlook wide receiver 2 upside. So
nice. Let's get Terrace Marshall then locked in as our final pick of the draft. And Connor, let's have a little look at how our team looks in after that. And we started off, the best possible start you can make. You got Josh Allen at the 1-1. He's locked in as your quarterback. And then you got those 2 guys you talked about who were wanting them to stay healthy all year. You got Joe Mixon. You got Aaron Jones as well. And then at wide receiver, we're pretty strong with Devonte Adams, Deontay Johnson, and Keenan Allen in there. David Njoku, getting our first tight end at the back end of round number 12 and getting someone like David Njoku really, really good. Then you got 2 younger receivers sitting in the flex spots with Brandon Ayuk, Juju Smith-Schuster, then Zach Wilson sitting in the super flex spot, but that could be Matt Ryan as well, depending on the matchup, depending on bye weeks. And then to round up the team of the bench, Michael Carter, Kadarius Toney, Alan Lazard, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Daryl Williams, Brevin Jordan, and Terrace Marshall. What are you thinking about that team, mate?
It's not a bad team. Like I said, once you're in season, I think that would be where you kind of start to see how the running back room is shaking out for you, and you can probably go and you can try and make a move for somebody if you want them. but it just has the draft kind of flow sometimes. I talked about the running back position multiple times and didn't pull the trigger, and then boom, 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 here they all go, line them up, knock them down. They all got picked. But that's just how it draws out sometimes. And
yeah,
as you can see, a lot of people talk about these strategies, and like to me, there's like the zero RB strategy, the robust RB strategy. I don't really go live or die by one of those strategies specifically. I just kind of see how the board's fallen and how the judgment of the players that I like, the judgment I have on certain players and opportunities and age. There's just so many different factors that when I'm on the clock, I use a couple hours, I really dig in, and then I make my pick, because I like to make sure like I'm getting guys with opportunity, not too old, not too young. Some guys who are more locked into their jobs and stuff like that. And then some who just got the upside, like Terrace Marshall, like I said, with Brevin Jordan, Daryl Williams. Sometimes you just pull the trigger for some upside. So no one strategy fits all. It's not a one size fits all thing. So
completely agree. I've been doing a little show, along with this, called the Dynasty Draft Experiments. And I was looking at all these different strategies. And every time I try and do another strategy, I always come away with it going, I miss. You just miss on so much value because you're locked into this strategy. And it's like, oh, I could have taken that guy, but no, I'm doing this strategy. So I got to take another quarterback, or I got to take another running back. So yeah, I think having one locked and loaded strategy can, limit your team's overall value at the end of the day.
Definitely. I agree with you on that point. It's the same with the my guy thing. It's like, you don't always have to end up with these guys. You don't always end up having to stick to a strategy. Sometimes it's all about how the board falls, trade offers, things happen. A lot of things change. That's the great benefit and the great fun of being in a part of a fantasy football league.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, Conor, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for coming on and being an awesome guest. And guys at home, listen, if you've really enjoyed it, behind me here, we got the whole of Flame, and we want to see if we can get Conor put up here. All you got to do is, if you're there already on the YouTube channel, give this a little thumbs up. The more thumbs up that he gets, the higher up the Hall of Flame he's going to go. Simple as that. If you're listening on a podcast or whatever, see if you can switch over to YouTube and give it a little thumbs up. It is very much appreciated. And Conor, speaking of appreciation, just want to say thank you one more time for coming onto the show. And do you just want to remind everybody where they can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a blast talking fantasy football, no matter the time of day, no matter the circumstance. So it's always just a great gateway to get away from life and to just enjoy chatting with some of the people within the community. You can find me at Connor10, that's TEN on Twitter. I have a piece dropping over at Player Profiler on Wednesday that is about why you shouldn't be buying into both Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, basically breaking down the whole Miami Dolphins situation, looking at the Mike McDaniel offense, looking at the volume, looking at Tua Tagovailoa himself. There's a couple different avenues I take to really give you a more holistic look at the situation. So check that out. I'll be sharing it all over my Twitter. So you can find me, of course, Player Profiler, where that's my written work. True North Fantasy Football Group, that is where we have the YouTube channel. That's where we have our rankings. Follow us on YouTube, TNFF Network. And we just recently changed the day to Thursdays due to Jim being a soccer coach for his daughters this year. So Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, you can check out the Gold Jacket podcast with myself and Gymnastic at Gold Jacket QBs on Twitter. Make sure you follow him as well. And then, of course, at Kelly Greenhour. That's if you're an Eagles fan, you can find all that an Eagles show there.
Fantastic. And just saying, Kev White up here, spot number 3, big Eagles fan. So can we get 2 Eagles fans on the Hall of Flame? Imagine, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? So Conor, just thank you so much for coming on, and thanks again to everyone listening at home. And as we cool off the hot seat for another little while, just want to remind everyone to keep themselves and their teams lit, and we will see you next time. Bye.